Hey, want a cookie? Oh, I know you just ate, so you're craving something a little sweet. Besides, one cookie isn't gonna kill you. How about half? Just a bite? Bite it. Bite it. Bite it.
Food noise isn't fair, but Mochi Health is. Your affordable GLP-1 source that puts you on a path to successful weight loss by quieting food noise.
Bite it.
Shh. Learn more at joinmochi.com. Mochi members have access to licensed physicians and nutritionists. Results may vary.
At DSW, we ask the important questions, like, what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes. At the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or dsw.com today and let us surprise you.
Voices for Justice is a podcast that uses adult language and discusses sensitive and potentially triggering topics, including violence, abuse, and murder. This podcast may not be appropriate for younger audiences. All parties are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Some names have been changed or omitted per their request or for safety purposes. Listener discretion is advised.
My name is Sarah Turney, and this is Voices for Justice. Today I'm discussing the case of Bianca Lebron. For decades, we've taught kids the very simplified safety precaution we've probably all heard before: stranger danger. Watch out for the unknown adult. Don't go anywhere with someone you don't know. Don't trust strangers. But Bianca's case forces us to confront a much harder truth: that some of the most dangerous strangers are the ones who work very hard to stop feeling like strangers. In November 2001, 10-year-old Bianca disappeared from Bridgeport, Connecticut after saying she was going shopping with her uncle, an uncle investigators later said didn't exist. But nearly 25 years later, investigators announced brand new updates and say that it's far from cold. This is the case of Bianca Lebron. It's Wednesday, November 7th, 2001 in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and Carmelita Torres is in the middle of her normal morning routine with her family. But she distinctly remembers that her daughter, 10-year-old Bianca, was up and ready to go to school as she was still getting ready for work. This is actually one of her last memories of Bianca. Just her sitting down in the kitchen in her green and beige camouflage shirt, beige pants, black boots, and dark blue denim jacket for the cooler fall weather. It's one of those painfully mundane moments you'd never expect to be cemented in your mind for decades. Nothing about this morning was unusual. Bianca was disciplined and a good student who usually finished her homework without being told before going out to play with her friends. She was also well-behaved and rarely missed a day of school. But of course, she's not a robot. Bianca is a little shy, but happy. She likes to sing, dance, and shop at her local malls. Her favorite color is purple, and she really likes spending time with her pet hamster named Nina. She has high self-esteem and is decently independent for a 10-year-old. Then, around 8 a.m., Bianca heads out the door to walk the short distance to school. As she does, Carmelita speaks to her daughter for the last time. Like this image of Bianca just waiting in the kitchen, I have to imagine she never expected this perfectly normal interaction to be their last. She tells Bianca she'll see her later. She's in the 5th grade at Elias House School. Both the school and her home are on Clinton Avenue, so making the short walk feels like a great way to help her build that independence. And she's far from alone in doing this. She walks with her older sister and 4 cousins as she normally does. And Carmelita goes on with her day as she normally does. She goes to work and she comes home at about 4:30 p.m. But Bianca isn't home yet. Now, Bianca is definitely tardy, but Carmelita isn't panicked yet. She figures Bianca is probably with a friend and lost track of time. But as the hours go by with no word from her, Carmelita starts calling around to try to figure out where she might be. The panic seems to be setting in at this point. And it only gets scarier when Bianca's sister comes forward to tell her mom that after walking to school together that morning, she didn't see Bianca during the day or after classes ended. So this is when Carmelita reports Bianca missing to the Bridgeport police. Now, I have to say that this isn't a case where the media was filled with stories of the police utilizing every resource to look for Bianca, so I can't really speak to their efforts there. But we do know that her friends, family, and neighbors immediately took to the streets to hand out flyers and ask if anyone had seen her. We also know that pretty quickly, investigators with the Bridgeport Police Youth Bureau and her family learned a lot more about the day Bianca went missing. And it's absolutely terrifying. So we know Bianca made it to school. Many of her friends and classmates saw her, even her teacher, which is a vital piece of this case to remember as I tell you more. But after speaking with the administration and teachers at Bianca's school as well as her classmates, we have solid confirmation that she made it to the school around 8:15 to 8:30 a.m. When she gets there, her sister and cousins go their separate ways to their respective classrooms, and Bianca starts telling her friends and classmates that she won't be in class that day because her uncle is going to take her shopping at the mall instead. She even invites them to come with, but they all decline. Now, there is some debate about what exactly Bianca told her teacher, Robert Memoli. Some reports say Bianca told him she needed to speak with her uncle before going to class. Some say she told him she'd be leaving the school with her uncle instead of attending class. Either way, we know her teacher is also informed of this uncle. And as all of this is happening, a witness who lived across the street from the school notices a two-toned brown and tan van slowly circling the school. The driver would slow down, park for a little bit, and then keep circling. They say this happened a few times, and it looked like someone was waiting for someone specific. I think we all know where this is unfortunately going. After all her friends decline the invitation to join Bianca on this shopping trip with her uncle, they watch her walk away from the classroom, get into the passenger side of the van, and drive away. This episode of Voices for Justice is sponsored by Chewy. If you have pets, you probably know about Chewy, and you also know that when they say that they have everything you need to keep your pet happy and healthy, they're not messing around. To keep them happy, Chewy has over 100,000 products from all the brands my pets love at prices I love. To keep them healthy, Chewy offers pet prescriptions, pet insurance, telehealth vet visits, and they're even rolling out vet clinics across the country. I've been shopping with them for a very long time. And in addition to the auto-ship feature that gets the dog's food to them every single month, I also love to experiment with different treats. But I'm a bit picky. For me, it has to be high quality with simple ingredients. I recently picked up treats from Shepherd Boy Farms that are 100% just chicken breast. Popcorn and Heber are already obsessed. Chewy has everything you need to keep your pet happy and healthy. And right now, you can save $20 on your first order and get free shipping by going to chewpanions.chewy.com/SarahETurney. That's chewpanions.chewy.com/SarahETurney to save $20 on your first order with free shipping. chewpanions.chewy.com/SarahETurney. Minimum purchase required. New customers only. Terms and conditions apply. See site for complete details.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why customers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
10-year-old Bianca Lebron has been missing for at least 24 hours when investigators discover she was never in class on the day she went missing. She got to the school, told her friend she was going shopping with her uncle, and then got into a van with an unknown man. They also discover that while her teacher, Mr. Memoli, did mark Bianca absent for the day, no one at the school ever notified her family. This not only caused the initial delay of about 12 hours in reporting Bianca missing to the police, but now this further delay in learning that it appears she was abducted by a man in a two-toned brown van. It's not a good situation, but witnesses described the van as an older model conversion van, two-toned brown and tan or beige, with tinted windows and chrome trim. And luckily, some of them did get a good look at the driver. He was described as a young, possibly in his 20s, Hispanic male with dark hair, a beard, an unusually large nose, and scratches on the left side of his face. So, of course, investigators with the Bridgeport Police Department's Youth Bureau go back to Bianca's family and ask them if it's possible one of her uncles picked her up that day. And according to reporting by the Connecticut Post, they tell them no. Bianca doesn't even have an uncle. On top of that, no one in their family owns a van matching the description of the one she was seen getting into. At this point, it looks like Bianca was lured away by someone promising her a shopping trip to the mall. Again, one of her favorite activities. Now, luckily, by day 2, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children gets involved, and the police interviews are well underway. One of the first people they interview is Bianca's biological father. Before she went missing, she lived with her grandmother, mother, stepfather, and sister. Her parents had been apart for some time before Bianca went missing, but her father still lived in the Bridgeport area at the time of her disappearance, and said that he had an amicable relationship with both Bianca and her mother. For some reason, his name does differ according to the reporting. Sometimes he's listed as Wilberto Lebron, and sometimes as Felix Lebron. I'm not really sure why, but I'm just going to call him Felix. So Felix is interviewed by police right away, and he, along with Bianca's mother and stepfather, are cleared pretty much immediately. By all accounts, all of these parents are grieving and helping in the search for her. Then things start moving very quickly in her case. It really begins hitting the media about 3 days after she went missing. Bridgeport police spokesman Joe Gresco confirms that they are treating her case as a possible abduction, but retains the belief that it might also just be some type of misunderstanding. So we're getting some pretty mixed signals at this point. But with media comes new tips. They start getting information about possible sightings of Bianca in New York City, Stamford, and Waterbury. Then the FBI steps in because of tips that Bianca was also seen in Puerto Rico. Investigators get dozens of tips in the week following Bianca's disappearance, but none appear to pan out. The Hartford Courant reported that Bianca's stepfather, Angelo Garcia, spent most of his days traveling around the city posting copies of their handmade flyer for Bianca. And her mother, Carmelita, reiterated that they'd barely slept or eaten since she went missing, adding, quote, "She's a baby. She's only 10 years old. You see it on TV and it's not real. Now I'm looking at it and I can't believe it's happening to me." End quote. Luckily, once the word begins to spread about Bianca, people come to her home from all over the city to offer to help in searching for her and handing out flyers. Meanwhile, the spotlight really begins to shine on Bianca's school. And in my opinion, rightfully so. And it's not just Bianca's family who's outraged that they weren't informed about her absence that day. The other parents are as well. School Superintendent Sonia Diaz-Salcido told WVIT-TV, quote, "We're trying to gather as much information before we make a determination in terms of if anyone made a poor decision or a poor judgment." End quote. She also acknowledged that her teacher was informed by Bianca that she was going to speak with her uncle, but she does not confirm that she communicated her intent to leave campus altogether. Shortly after this statement, though, Bianca's teacher was suspended with pay, which did not satisfy this community, again, in my opinion, for obvious reasons. The superintendent also sent out a letter to parents addressing Bianca's disappearance, stating in part, quote, "We would like to assure you that Elias Howe School has numerous policies and procedures in effect in order to maximize the safety of all children. Teachers consistently review and practice these procedures. The safety of all of our children is our top priority." End quote. So the school's working overtime to do damage control. They even boast about their efforts to increase safety at their schools since the September 11th attack in New York just 1 month prior. And Salcido reiterates that it's important to teach children about stranger danger, which again just doesn't seem to be the case with Bianca's disappearance. They've repeatedly been told that Bianca called this man who took her an uncle, that they were going to go shopping. She was even comfortable enough with the situation to invite her friends. while I have to guess that this man likely started off as a stranger, it seems pretty clear that Bianca was groomed over a certain period of time, and then lured away with the promise of a shopping trip. It's a nuanced but very important conversation that should have been addressed. Instead, they're kind of covertly victim blaming by saying that kids need to be taught not to leave with strangers. Then on Tuesday, November 13th, all of this really came to a head during the meetings held by the school for concerned parents. They had a morning session and one after school. Bianca's family attended the 9 a.m. meeting, and the answers they got from the school were not satisfying, to say the least. And her family addressed it head-on in front of everyone. Carmelita said, quote, "You people are using this little girl as a guinea pig. You people are just trying to cover your ass." End quote. Bianca's stepfather added a common sense statement saying, quote, "Why would we send Bianca to school if we were going to let her go to the mall with her uncle?" End quote. Bianca's family ends up storming out of this meeting, and Carmelita, along with other family members, speak to the media waiting outside and basically sob about what happened in the meeting. But after they leave, the other parents stood up for them and Bianca. They say outright that it was clear safety was not a priority at the school. One father of a first grader says that the day after Bianca went missing, he went to the school twice to help with a fundraiser, and both times he was able to walk right in through unlocked doors without checking in with anyone. They also wanted answers from Bianca's teacher about how he could let this happen, and they questioned why he didn't show up for these meetings. In return, the school gave very vague answers about everything still being under investigation. They also had a social worker tell these parents that they needed to calm down so they don't pass their anxiety to their children and make them feel unsafe. That's the part that really sent me over the edge in this case. The gaslighting in these meetings was absolutely unreal. But they did promise better security measures in the future, including ensuring that all parents would be notified if their child was marked absent without being excused prior. Because apparently before Bianca went missing, they would only notify parents that their child missed class if it happened for several days in a row. I can't even make this up, you guys. The superintendent said, quote, "We don't have someone who can call every day." End quote. They also promised that they would have a security guard stationed in the front of the school each morning from 8 a.m. to 8:45 a.m., and the school resource officer would be assigned to the back of the school during that same time frame. A security camera would be installed at the front doors to the school. They would begin locking the front doors and enforce their policy of having visitors sign in. They would also require identification for any child being checked out of school and confirm that they're on the list of approved contacts for the child. And finally, that if a child is seen at the school in the morning but fails to make it to class, a parent will be notified immediately. And after making all of these promises, the superintendent added that they were doing all they could to keep these children safe. But as far as Bianca, all they can do is just pray. This episode of Voices for Justice is brought to you by Quince. I've been trying to be more intentional about what I wear each day. I'm leaning into pieces that feel effortless, comfortable, and still put together, and Quince has been my go-to. The fabrics feel elevated, the fits are flattering, and everything just works without overthinking it. They use premium materials like 100% European linen, organic cotton, and ultra-soft denim. And the best part? Everything is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. They work directly with ethical factories and cut out the middlemen, so you're paying for quality and craftsmanship, not brand markup. I recently just ordered their tiered linen dress, of course in black. I wanted to pair it with one of my favorite pairs of brown wedges. The problem was, I didn't have a brown purse. So I got that from Quince too. It's one of my favorite outfits. It's easy, effortless, and feels amazing, especially as we're getting a little bit warmer here in Phoenix. Refresh your everyday with luxury you'll actually use. Head to quince.com/justice for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/justice for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/justice.
What they did to your family, you're lucky to make it out alive.
Streaming on Peacock.
These men are going to come after me. Taking them out is my only chance.
Put a bullet in her head.
From the co-creator of Ozark.
Looks like a family was running drugs.
Execution-style killing, it's rare for the Keys. And it leads on who they might have been running for.
The cartel killed my family. I'm gonna kill them. All of them.
MIA. Streaming now. Only on Peacock.
In the weeks following the disappearance of 10-year-old Bianca Lebron, her community is outraged by the lack of accountability taken by her school after she left campus and got into a stranger's van. The investigation is fully underway, though. The FBI compiles a list of people in the area with documented crimes against children and begins eliminating them one by one. The city of Bridgeport also offers a reward of $10,000 for information leading to Bianca's safe return and conviction of the person responsible for her disappearance. Law enforcement also urges the community to stay vigilant and report any suspicious activity in the area, quite literally saying that they have to work together to keep their community safe and bring Bianca home. Meanwhile, Bianca's family was facing one of the unique traumas that comes with being the loved ones of a missing child. They started getting prank phone calls. One of the calls featured a child crying before the person hung up. Just incredibly cruel actions, especially as the Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays were approaching, and her family still had no solid leads about where Bianca may be or what may have happened to her. By the end of November, the Bridgeport police asked the governor to add an additional $50,000 to the reward fund, which was later approved. The Good News Connecticut Press also announced their plan to place Bianca's missing persons flyer on newspaper boxes in the area free of charge. But despite all the media and all the promises for reform from Bianca's school district, in December, there was another horrifying incident. A bus driver in Bianca's school district was suspended after he dropped off a 5-year-old without their parent present. According to reporting by Kate Rumney for the Connecticut Post, this child was new to the neighborhood, and their father called the school to let them know he would be late picking them up because their car broke down. But he was informed that the child had already been dropped off at their normal stop. Now, luckily, the child was fine after wandering their neighborhood for an hour looking for their home. But of course, this incident stoked the flames of an already outraged community who continued to insist that the school district wasn't doing enough to keep their kids safe. But luckily, as 2001 came to an end, the new year brought a lot of new media for Bianca's case. Her information was distributed to about 150,000 homes in southwestern Connecticut. This was through that Advo Have You Seen Me Shopwise circulars program. You probably still get them in the mail. I know that I do. It's that little strip at the bottom featuring a missing person with Have You Seen Me? I really always like to shout them out because they have helped so many cases. But her case was also back in the media as the state of Connecticut adopted the Amber Alert program just weeks after Bianca went missing. And right back in the media was Carmelita expressing her hope that Bianca would be featured in this program. But in the end, they refused to issue an Amber Alert for her, citing that too much time had passed. I can't even imagine the letdown her mom must have felt, that her whole family felt. This amazing new program that's really bringing kids home all over the country finally comes to your state, and they don't want to include Bianca. But they did finally create and distribute a sketch of the man seen driving the brown van Bianca got into on the day she disappeared. And not long after, she was featured on America's Most Wanted with the new reward up to now $62,000. Bianca's family gathered around the TV to watch the segment, and they said that while they all felt like crying, they were trying to remain hopeful. And this feature did prompt 19 calls to their hotline, many of which investigators deemed to be of high interest, though details weren't provided. Bianca was also featured on Larry King Live when he spoke to John Walsh in March. And due to all the national attention, the FBI and Bridgeport Police Youth Bureau set up a command center just to field the anticipated phone calls. Her case was also featured on a local Fight Night series to bring attention to missing children, and at the second Missing Children's Day event, where ham radio operators drew attention to over 2,000 cases of missing children. That included 16-year-old Molly Bish, who went missing on June 27, 2000 from Warren, Massachusetts. Carmelita actually met the Bish family at this event, and again expressed the sentiment that she never thought something like this would happen to her family. Now, I do have to pause here and remind you that Molly Bish's case is still unsolved, and her family is still fighting hard to find her killer. I featured Molly's case and an interview with her sister Heather in past episodes that I would love for you to listen to and share if you haven't already. But despite all this media attention, investigators admitted that they basically had nothing. And Bianca's 11th birthday on June 26th came and went without any new information about where she may be. And then, in August, Bianca's family sued her school after having her legally declared dead by the courts. Specifically named in the case were Bianca's teacher, Robert Memoli, the assistant principal, Clifford Dudley, and none other than Superintendent Sonia Diaz-Salcido. Now, it's a bit of a complicated suit, so let's break it down. Memoli and Dudley were named in the suit because both were on the playground the morning Bianca left campus. Carmelita's lawyer stated that they both failed to properly supervise Bianca while she was on school grounds. Of course, we know Memoli was made aware in some fashion that Bianca planned to speak with someone she called her uncle. But they specifically cite in this suit that Memoli was made aware that Bianca would be leaving his supervision to do this, and that he failed to follow proper procedures to continue supervising her or keeping her on campus. And he did not abide by their policy to notify the parent of a child when another adult attempts to remove them from school. Now, of course, we know Salcido has something to say about this. She speaks up and says that while she can't go into specifics, she hopes Bianca's safe. But she also insists that this lawsuit is, quote, unfortunate and is causing distress for her personally and professionally. She added that while some safety measures were put in place after Bianca went missing, they just didn't have the resources to do everything they'd like in order to keep the children in her schools safe. Trust me, I have a lot more to say about this, but these things do take time to crawl through the legal system, so Bianca's case continues to be investigated while the civil suit continues. And in September, there was a pretty scary tip called into the police. A city bus driver in Bridgeport said that they believe they saw Bianca walking with a man near John and Middle Streets at 7:52 a.m. on the 24th. He says the man was intentionally covering the girl's face as they got into a black Chevy Blazer and drove north. This is really the best tip they'd gotten in months, so they're all over it. They track down who it belongs to, go to the home listed on the registration, and search all over the city for this Blazer. And they can't find it for days. But when they eventually find it and the owner, they say that there's no connection to Bianca. It was another huge letdown for her family, especially with the 1-year anniversary of her going missing right around the corner. That comes and goes without any new answers about what happened to Bianca. Police Sergeant Jesus Ortiz cited one difficulty as the number of similar vans in the area. In fact, he says that when he was at the school on the 1-year anniversary, he saw 2 similar vans drive by within a 15-minute period. But like in other cases we've seen where the vehicle the victim last got into is really focused on, right? Where they're going through every record to find every model possible of this van all across the state. I didn't find anything like that in the reporting for Bianca's case. I'm not saying it didn't happen, I just didn't find it in the reporting. But again, Bianca's case just sits until November 2003, when nearly 2 years to the day that she went missing, a 20-year-old man police named as Bianca's secret boyfriend is arrested and extradited to Connecticut. Let's break it down. 20-year-old Jason Lara used to live in Bridgeport, where Bianca went missing from. He then moved to Fort Myers, Florida. In early 2003, the Bridgeport police put out a call for information in the Connecticut Post for a Jason Gonzalez along with his photo. They said he was being sought for questioning in Bianca's case. And Jason Lara calls in and says, "I'm the man you're looking for." He said he barely knew Bianca and denied knowing anything about her whereabouts. Still, investigators pushed for him to return to Bridgeport for questioning, but he refused. And it looks like he wasn't willing to tell them where he was, because according to reporting from the Connecticut Post, the FBI tracked his location to Fort Myers, Florida, found out where he lived, and went to his residence. But by that time, he'd already moved. They did get a photo of him, though, and they were able to match him to the sketch. Not long after that, a woman in Bridgeport calls the police to tell them she doesn't know a Jason Gonzalez, but Jason Lara was dating her 53-year-old friend. And that friend told her if anything happened to her, that Lara did it. She also gave her a photo of him and a copy of his birth certificate. So, obviously, this woman is scared. And it is worth noting that despite his young age, Lara did have a criminal record. He attempted to steal a car from 2 elderly women in 1998. He was sentenced to 7 years in prison, but was let out early. And he has been described as someone believed to be capable of violence. So they're looking for this guy, they just can't seem to find him. Until November 2003. That's when Jason Lara was arrested in Florida on second-degree forgery charges after changing his name on a fingerprint card to Jason Gonzalez. This is when he was arrested on an unrelated drug charge. But basically, after he's released, they realize that he signed the wrong name, hence the forgery charge. This time, they can track him down, and when they go to his home to make the arrest, they find a woman inside who identifies herself as his fiancée and mother to their 5-month-old son. She tells investigators she knows Bianca, but only saw her a couple of times in passing, and that she was present the last time Jason Lara saw Bianca the summer before she went missing. So while there were seemingly no new updates in Bianca's case for years, it appears investigators had Jason Lara in their sights pretty much from the beginning. Once he's arrested on the forgery charge, he's extradited back to Connecticut to answer questions about Bianca's case, and he's held in custody with a $100,000 bond. Investigators tell the media that he matches the description of the sketch of the man driving the van Bianca got into. They also state that he had a, quote, relationship with Bianca. So it appears he was sexually abusing her. And you guys, they confirm that Lara knew someone with a van matching the description Bianca was last seen getting into. Now, this abuse, not relationship, was confirmed by an unnamed person in Bianca's family and several of her friends. They say Bianca told them she would go to her uncle's house on East Main Street because there was a boy that she liked who also lived there. And some witnesses reported seeing Bianca and this boy kissing. But when these friends were shown a photo of 20-year-old Jason Lara, they say that's the boy they saw with Bianca. But they didn't know him as Jason Lara. They knew him as Jason Gonzalez, the fraudulent name he used when signing the fingerprint card. And unfortunately, Bianca's grandmother finds out all of this from the media, not the police. And she does speak to the Connecticut Post about it. She confirms that Bianca did go to his house often, but she said that she was way too young to be in any type of relationship as they were alleging. So this is huge. Definitely the largest development in Bianca's case thus far. And it's all over the media. And so is Jason Lara's defense attorney, Heather Abel. When they transfer his forgery case to a higher court in Connecticut, she tells the media that this is completely unprecedented and that there's just no credible evidence against her client in Bianca's case. Really, everyone was getting very vocal about this. Bianca's aunt told the Hartford Courant, quote, "I heard this guy at work say he heard she left with her boyfriend. I swear I was ready to fight him. People just don't understand. People don't think before they speak." End quote. Bianca's mom said that her daughter was just beginning to take an interest in boys, but wasn't aware of her having any type of relationship with Jason Lara. Quote, "Believe me, if I would have seen that, I think I would have jumped on him." End quote. And then finally, we get more details about the warrant for Jason Lara. It describes police speaking with one of Bianca's 13-year-old cousins, who says when she asked Bianca if she had an older boyfriend, she would deny it. But she did say she kissed an older man. It also states that Bianca and Jason Lara were seen at someone described as her great-uncle's house numerous times. And a 16-year-old girl described as Bianca's friend also confirms that she saw Bianca and Lara holding hands and kissing on the lips. She believed that they were boyfriend and girlfriend. So we have multiple people confirming that Jason Lara knew Bianca and spent time with her. Her younger friends and family confirmed that they either directly saw or were told by Bianca that Lara was kissing her. It feels like a lot of evidence. But Jason Lara was never named a suspect by police despite their very strong statements about his possible involvement in this case. And by December, Jason Lara's forgery charge is lessened to interfering with police. For that, he's given 1 year of probation and released. Upon his release, he said he didn't have anything to do with Bianca's disappearance, and his lawyer stated that her client has an alibi for November 7th, 2001. It seems Jason Lara was a whole 5 miles away from Bianca's school out of the city in Stratford when Bianca went missing. Or, just to be fair, up to 6 miles depending on the route you take from the city. Basically, nothing happens to Jason Lara in relation to Bianca's case, and he continues to maintain his innocence in relation to her disappearance. So the case sits once again, this time for 20 years until 2023, when, according to Bianca's family, the Bridgeport Police Department submits a warrant to the state attorney to arrest a man named Luis Rivera.
Zootopia 2 has come home to Disney+.
Let's go!
Get ready for a new case.
We're gonna crack this case and prove we're the greatest partners of all time!
New friends.
You are...
Gary the Snake.
And your last name?
The Snake.
Dream Team. And new habitats.
Zootopia has a secret reptile population.
You can watch the record-breaking phenomenon at home.
You're clearly working at
Zootopia 2, now available on Disney+, rated PG.
22 years after 10-year-old Bianca Lebron went missing, her family reports that the Bridgeport Police Department submitted an arrest warrant for 58-year-old Luis Rivera. So again, let's break it down. In 1997, Rivera was convicted of first-degree sexual assault for attacking a 13-year-old in a bathroom at Seaside Park in Bridgeport. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison and released before Bianca went missing. From there, he moved to Puerto Rico. Now, Bianca's family suspected he could be involved early on, especially as there were documented sightings of a girl matching Bianca's description in Puerto Rico. I told you about that earlier. After they looked into those sightings, nothing really came of them, but Rivera remained on their radar. In 2009, the Bridgeport police excavated a small portion of Seaside Park in relation to Bianca's case, but at that time they didn't give a lot of detail, and they didn't find anything to push the case forward. Or, like I always say, if they did, they weren't telling the media that. So this is a man who's been on the radar of police and Bianca's family for years. Then in 2022, 3 victims came forward to accuse Rivera of sexually assaulting them as children in the 1990s. He's arrested in Puerto Rico and then extradited right back to Connecticut. In February 2024, Bianca's family held a demonstration outside of the courthouse where Rivera was present for a court hearing in relation to the sexual assault charges. They wore shirts with her photo on it and held signs with photos of the sketch from 2002 next to Rivera's photo. While they were outside the courthouse, they told Fox 61 News that investigators with the Bridgeport police had presented their case to get a warrant to arrest him in 2023, but that they were denied. It was a very short and vague statement, but they added that, quote, probable cause is clear as day, end quote. And they were asking for the state's attorney to reconsider. They added that Bianca's detective told them that they were planning to submit another warrant for her kidnapping and murder. So this family's outside of the courthouse convinced that Luis Rivera killed Bianca, and they say that her detective at the Bridgeport PD believes the same. And finally, in July 2024, Rivera pleaded guilty in his case. Bianca's family was in the back of the courtroom while it happened. There were so many that some overflowed to the street outside. Their hope was that he might confess to harming Bianca too, but he didn't. As Rivera was led out of the courtroom, Bianca's mother, Carmelita, began crying and screaming, "Tell us what you did with Bianca. Tell us what you did with my baby." Rivera showed no emotion. And in October, at the age of 58, he was sentenced to 50 years in prison, suspended after 25 years to serve, followed by 35 years of probation. And it seems that that warrant to arrest him for the kidnapping and murder of Bianca was never submitted or never approved. I couldn't find anything else about it, only that while the Bridgeport PD looked into Rivera, they said they never found any probable cause linking him to Bianca's disappearance. There haven't been many answers in Bianca's case, but there has been at least one form of justice. In 2008, the civil suit Carmelita brought against Bianca's school was settled out of court for $750,000. Of course, that money didn't bring any answers or any form of closure to this family, but I have to hope that the suit made them realize the importance of keeping children safe in their schools. Superintendent Salcido was long gone by then, though. She'd apparently tanked the school district's federal testing scores, with 21 out of 25 schools failing to meet the federal standards. The dropout rate under her leadership also increased by about 10%, and the Connecticut Post reported that her contract was not renewed in 2004. After that, she got a job in Miami as the deputy superintendent for curriculum for the Miami-Dade School District. But she left after 6 months, with the district calling it a mutual decision. Then she went to the Las Cruces Public Schools in New Mexico, where she served as their superintendent. And she was fired just 4 months later. Apparently, there were a lot of allegations about horrible treatment of district employees. By 2007, she was hired on as the Associate Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction for Baltimore, Maryland Public Schools. I couldn't find what happened to her there, but I know that she wasn't there long, because she doesn't post any of that experience on her LinkedIn page, and it seems that she goes by Sonia Diaz now. From what I can find, she did stay out of trouble after that, retaining a variety of positions within a variety of school systems, mostly in Massachusetts. But, thank goodness, she is now retired. Now, you guys know I don't normally do things like this, but I just couldn't help but wonder what happened to the woman who responded so coldly to a 10-year-old leaving campus on her watch and never being seen again. It seems that her success in the education system was truly on par with her compassion for the children she was paid to serve. And I do have another unfortunate update for you in relation to another system that has wholly failed Bianca. In 2018, the Bridgeport Police Department made the decision to close its youth bureau after over 40 years of investigating crimes against children. This is that same unit that was assigned to Bianca's case way back in 2001. But at the end of 2018, Police Chief Armando Perez made the decision to basically absorb the unit into the main detective unit. This came after the former head of the unit, Sergeant Joseph Hernandez, retired after some pretty valid criticism. According to reporting by Daniel Tepfer for the Connecticut Post, this was a long time coming. The article outlines some extremely concerning things. like the sexual assault of a 14-year-old child seeing a 2-year delay in investigation due to the investigator on the case being transferred out of the unit and just never being replaced. You'd think they might learn their lesson, but law enforcement officials confirm that the breaking point was the unit taking 2 years to look into the sexual assault of an 8-year-old. Apparently, they collected DNA in April 2015 and didn't send it out for testing until April 2017, when the suspect was being investigated for the death of his 10-month-old son. So basically, they wait to test the evidence collected for the sexual assault of an 8-year-old until they were investigating a suspected murder. And wouldn't you know it, this man, Derek Siberian, was guilty of both sexually assaulting this child and murdering his own. He pled guilty to both and got 2 concurrent 15-year sentences with an additional 20 years of probation. Obviously, there were some major issues in this Youth Bureau unit, but Police Chief Perez basically said that this was all due to older administrations, and he specifically cited their failure to solve Bianca's case. It was really hard to research all the ways that Bianca's been failed, but I do have one more update for you, a very recent one. In March 2026, Colin McNally, supervisor of NECMEC's forensic unit, created a new age-progressed photo of Bianca, showing what she may look like now, as of this recording, at the age of 34. The Bridgeport police held a press conference to announce this new photo, as well as some recent developments. Of course, as always, Carmelita was right there alongside Bianca's other loved ones. They say Bianca's case is being handled by their homicide division, and that they do have persons of interest they're looking into, including a strong lead on the identity of the man who was driving the brown van. Detective Laura Acevedo-Razouk is now leading Bianca's case, and she said they have a very strong lead thanks to new witnesses who've come forward. She also announces that they excavated a home and garage in 2025, but can't go into further detail. She maintains that she believes that Bianca may have been abducted, but could also be alive. Then, Carmelita's granddaughter, Bianca's niece, Nevaeh, took the mic.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nevaeh Cook, and I'm Bianca's Lebron's niece. So, I would like to begin by thanking everyone who has supported our family during this incredibly difficult time of not knowing what happened to Bianca. Your concern, prayers, and continued support have meant more to us than words could ever express. I also want to extend my sincere gratitude to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children for always keeping Bianca's case visible and for updating images to show how my Bianca might look today. Their continued efforts have kept hope alive and remind the public that she is still missing and still loved. My family is asking the public to please stop spreading false information about Bianca, especially when there is no real knowledge of what happened to her. Many of the stories and rumors that have circulated contain incorrect details and only add more pain to our family. If Bianca's story is going to be shared, we ask that it be done with care, respect, and a commitment to the truth. I would also like to recognize Detective Acevedo-Razouk for her tireless dedication to my aunt's case. She has always kept our family informed of updates and has shown genuine commitment and compassion throughout this process. We are truly grateful for her hard work and for never giving up on Bianca. And we ask if anyone out there has any real information regarding Bianca's case, please speak up now. There is a $62,000 reward. Coming from a mother, I know there is someone out there who had to see something. My grandma has been broken for the past 24 years without her daughter. Please help bring my family closure. Thank you.
That brings me right to our call to action. Please share Bianca's case. While it did get some national coverage when she first went missing, I couldn't help but notice how little it's gotten from our true crime community. She needs more attention, and this family needs answers. The only way Bianca's loved ones have been able to watch her grow beyond 10 years old is through 6 age progression photos estimating what she may look like. And as I keep saying, Carmelita still publicly fights for Bianca. When the new age-progressed image of Bianca was released, she was right back in the media explaining that she's never gone on with her life, and that it's broken without Bianca in it. She's never shied away from this case, and she's never given up on finding her daughter. And now, nearly 25 years later, as we see all too often in long-term missing cases, Bianca's case has now been passed down to the next generation, to her niece. This is a case with so much hope. Even after all this time, her detective says that she still may be alive out there somewhere. So please share. This family has worked so hard for so long and has never given up hope in finding Bianca. As a reminder, Bianca Elaine Lebron was last seen on November 7th, 2001 in Bridgeport, Connecticut when she was 10 years old. She is a Hispanic female who was 4'11" and 115 pounds with brown hair and hazel eyes at the time of her disappearance. She has a birthmark on her forehead and was last seen wearing beige pants, a beige and green shirt with a dark blue jean jacket and black boots. She was last seen getting into an older model conversion van, two-toned, brown and tan or beige with tinted windows and chrome trim. The driver's been described as a young Hispanic male with dark hair, a beard, unusually large nose, and scratches on the left side of his face. Anyone with information is asked to call the Bridgeport Police Department at 203-581-5100 or the FBI at 203-382-6647. You can also submit tips anonymously online at tips.fbi.gov. But, as always, thank you, I love you, and I'll talk to you next time. Voices for Justice is hosted and produced by me, Sarah Turney, and is a Voices for Justice media original. If you love what we do here, please don't forget to follow, rate, and review the show in your podcast player. It's an easy and free way to help us and help more people find these cases in need of justice. Welcome to the Secret After Show. The studio door is open and our emotional support puppies, Popcorn and Heber, are in the room. Let's go right into this case, which I feel like I was so infuriated for most of this episode, and I tried my best to keep the sass at an appropriate level, and I think I did. But my goodness, the amount of things that happened in this case. And again, I just couldn't help but dig into that superintendent. I wanted to know where she went after, and when I started digging, I could absolutely believe what her career history was. So yeah. Next on my list, the Amber Alert. The Amber Alert. Can you imagine your child goes missing and your state adopts the Amber Alert program 8 weeks afterwards and then refuses to feature them? I would have lost my mind. I would have lost my mind. Another thing that I was losing my mind over in this case was the warrant in Bianca's case and members of law enforcement in relation to Jason Lara, and the way that they kept describing them as a couple, as a romantic relationship. I can't. I just can't. And I know people are going to say it was, just a time thing, and back then that's what we said. And I just want to say that thank goodness things have changed, because words matter, especially words like that. You cannot be in a relationship with a child if you are an adult. All it is abuse. Next, I wanted to talk about this being passed on to the next generation, which, please know, isn't like any form of like guilt towards Bianca's family. We see this all the time, again, in these long-term missing cases when it's been 25 years that it gets passed down to the next generation. And in this case, Carmelita's granddaughter, Bianca's niece, Nevaeh. They've actually been featured in some of the articles for quite some time. I think starting, I say they because there's another niece, but Nevaeh and the other niece started appearing in articles, I think, when they were like 4 or 5. They were just kind of obviously like briefly mentioned. It breaks my heart. And it's heartwarming at the same time, if that makes sense. Like, this family cares so much about Bianca, and you see it every time they talk, every time they show up for her, which is all the time. I just really, really, really hope that they get answers and that this burden, this responsibility, because that's what it is, right, doesn't continue to get passed down. But let's go on to media discrepancies, which is short but sweet. Really not a ton, mostly around like dates, surrounding especially Jason Lara's arrest record. But other than that, it was pretty consistent. And I think that's because Carmelita specifically, and, many members of Bianca's family, consistently showed up. They consistently showed up and told the same story again and again and again and again. And this is another case where most of the reporting is done by these like smaller local news stations. So they tend to, over the years, not like recycle content, but go back to their original reporting for all the same details. So it made it pretty consistent across the board. On to our hero of the episode, which is no surprise, Carmelita and the rest of her family. I've already said it so many times and given them so much praise, but of course they have to be the heroes of this episode, because doing this for 25 years, I can unfortunately tell you, is no easy feat. And again, as I researched this case, Carmelita was the anchor. She was always in the public eye, always public-facing with other members of Bianca's family, and she never backed down. And my goodness, her confronting Rivera in court. I mean, confronting your loved one's killer in that way, right? Because she's not a part of this court proceeding. Bianca wasn't named in that lawsuit, so she's like technically an observer, right? So for her to stand up and shout out those things, you go, girl. I mean, that's awesome. I was reading that and I was honestly like, dang, I should have screamed in a courtroom at one point in my life. So shout out to you, Carmelita, for being braver than I'll probably ever be. I know it's not easy, and I know Nevaeh talked about misinformation getting out there and cruel rumors, and I really hope that nothing in this episode perpetrated that. Now let's go on to our segment of hope, which I do think is so fitting for Bianca's case. This is from People magazine, written by Angel Saunders, and the title reads, 13-year-old girl who vanished without a trace found alive after 30 years. And this does just happen to be an Arizona case. We are solving a lot of cases lately. But it says that Christina Maria Plant was last seen in 1994 when she left her Arizona home to walk to a nearby horse stable. Authorities initially classified her disappearance as endangered and under suspicious circumstances. Basically, they say that, again, she vanished without a trace from her home, and there were a ton of, it looks like, volunteers, ground searches, and the sheriff's office was involved. And over the years, she was entered into national missing children databases, but her case eventually went cold. According to the sheriff's office, investigators ultimately reached a breakthrough that cracked the case thanks to advances in technology and techniques. And that's really all they're telling us. They say, out of respect for Christina's privacy and well-being, additional details will not be released at this time. But that's enough for me. I mean, I just think it's absolutely amazing. And I have to imagine that this gives hope to so many families of the long-term missing. But, as always, thank you, I love you, and I'll talk to you next time.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.